Salem's Lot 2024 is an adaptation of a 1975 Stephen King novel with the same title. There's also a 1979 miniseries that was directed by Tobe Hooper, which many think is a classic. Directed by Gary Dauberman, known for his work on It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 and Annabelle Comes Home, the story centers on Ben Mears, an author haunted by childhood memories who returns to his hometown, Jerusalem's Lot, to explore and write about the infamous Marston House, a mansion steeped in dark lore and past crimes. As Ben delves into the history, a sinister presence in the form of antique dealers Richard Stryker and the enigmatic Kurt Barlow settles into the town. Their arrival coincides with a series of unsettling events, mysterious disappearances, inexplicable illnesses, and an ominous pull over the community. Convinced that Barlow harbors a monstrous secret, that of a vampire intent on turning the town into his own dark dominion, Ben aligns with a small group of locals. Together, they confront the creeping dread and stake their lives on stopping Barlow's reign of terror before Salem's Lot becomes a town of the undead. There's also a lot of production drama. Like, this film took 2 years to come out. If you don't believe me, this was the little boy in the movie, and this is what he actually looks like today. So yeah, years have gone by while this film was in production hell or post-production hell, because it seemed like there was post-production problems with this movie as well. I didn't know about any of that, so let's disregard that and let's just talk about the film. Now, what can I say positive about this movie? I guess a positive thing I could say about this is its length. It's not that long, surprisingly. I heard they wanted it to be 3 hours, and if it was going to be 3 hours, they would have had all the stuff from the Tobe Hooper version. And I will say the acting, although it's not that great in this movie either, is better than I think in the miniseries at times. But they both have their ups and downs and their goods and their bads. So that's not really totally a positive. But I guess the kid in this one, acting wise, is a little bit better. All the kids in this one than the other one. That I'll say that. Some of the older people, no. I don't like the fact that they made Mark OP. He knows everything. He's the best at everything. He saves the day pretty much almost the entire way until the end. Thank God that at least they did that they didn't have him save the day. So I didn't like that. I like the original Mark in a sense, but there are elements of this Mark I do like, but they just made this kid too strong, too ridiculous, too, I'm gonna fight and do everything and I'm gonna say, it was just like, oh my God, come on, kid. I mean, it was stupid. All the adults didn't know anything. They're dumb, they're scared, and this kid is just like, I know, I don't care. It was ridiculous. Ben has really not much to do in this. He does end up killing at least 3 or 4, vampires. So thank goodness they gave him that. His love interest, Susan, I see no chemistry between those two. The acting between those two are horrible. I know they wanted to be faithful to the book and the miniseries, but the book has so many characters, and so does the miniseries. And they try to like combine storylines a little bit, which they shouldn't. And this is one thing I think necessarily. They could have cut some things down, and they could have made some parts gone. Look, this movie's horrible. I've been trying to get out a way to say this without saying this and get into all this conjecture and all these things, but this isn't a really good movie. There's a lot of issues with this film, besides production issues. This is what I'm gonna say. I think structurally, this guy's a writer before, I don't know what happened, but this is horrible. It opens terribly. After our opening credits, we get exposition. Or it's not even exposition. We're getting told what is going to happen. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. When this could have been told the exact same way, instead of it being told in the antique shop and us seeing who this person is telling the story, we could have been told this as it's happening, like voiceover, and we see them picking up this package, them putting it in their truck, them driving like in the miniseries, and then they should have had the scene in the miniseries. In this film, like they do in the miniseries, where the driver and the passenger and the other guy look in the back and the cargo is moving forward by itself. They could have that whole scene where it's freezing. Why is it? They have none of that. So it starts out like, ugh. Then they try to do the rushy thing where they're scared because it's that house, and then they go to the basement, and it just doesn't work. None of it works. Then those two characters are irrelevant to begin with. We never see them again. In the miniseries, it was Mike Ryerson and Floyd Tibbetts. Why couldn't it be those people this time? The same thing with the priest. There's a whole scene where they're at the drive-in theater, Ben and Susan, and they're talking about everybody in town. And they say, that's the priest, and he's there, he's drunk, he's already getting started early. Then we cut later to the sheriff meeting uh, unlocking the cell door because the priest is there, so he had him in that night or whatever, and the priest getting up and leaving and then being told that this kid went missing and there's a search party for him and that he should go. Why do we need to see the priest at all? We don't need to see the priest at all until they need to go speak to the priest. That's another thing. CG is bad. There are times, I don't know, I can't compare it to the book, but there are times when there are times where they look like ghosts instead of like vampires, and maybe that's what it was in the book. I don't know. All I could go by is from the miniseries in this, and it looks terrible. There's stupid cartoonish scenes too, where this kid is outside looking for his brother because he hears his brother's flute or harmonica that this kid gave him, that Mark gave him. And so he hears that outside, so he wanders outside after his brother was kidnapped. And all of a sudden, whoop, he flies off into the air. Something just grabs him, and we're supposed to be scared. That's the, yeah, it didn't work. Also, the scene where the kids get kidnapped. Why do we need to see them get kidnapped? I don't want to see them get kidnapped. He's just been kidnapped, and then you could see him driving off with, I don't know. There's a lot wrong in this. How Barlow looks. A lot of people do not like how Barlow looks in this movie. I didn't mind it, but but they do show him too much in the beginning. Like the way they show him, the first time they show him in the miniseries works. And trust me, the miniseries is not great in my opinion. I think it's pretty boring for a lot of it, but it just works better. The miniseries works better, especially than this film. This film has a lot of issues from the beginning. From the beginning, the way it opens, the way they introduce characters, it just sucks. It really does suck. Like this movie, I tried to watch it so many times to like it, especially the whole thing with the crucifix that light up. That's the most ridiculous, stupid thing. But there's some cool parts in it too. So I'm gonna be fair. This is the fairest I could give it. I would give it 2 out of 5 stars. If I were you, I would not see this. If you have the patience and the time, you should watch the miniseries. It works better. But this does get good towards the end. I do like everything that happens in the drive-in theater at the end of this film. I don't like that Mark is the one that is saving the day pretty much. I thought that was stupid, but whatever. Yeah, I think they could have changed a little bit more things. I know in the book and in the miniseries, Susan does bite the dust. Spoiler alert. In this one, she should have been saved, maybe change one little thing, but maybe fans of the original book and the miniseries would be upset if they did that. I don't know. Whatever. All I know is, all in all, this film was not good. I find it surprising that I like the actual miniseries because I didn't think I was going to. But with that being said, as I said, I gave this 2 out of 5 stars. Don't see it if you don't want to. But again, there are elements that are interesting. I really don't know what happened. If I was to look into this film more and ask questions like what actually went wrong with this movie, was it time? What was it? I don't know if I'd find that out, to be quite honest. But there's a lot of things that don't work, especially the guy who plays Straker. I don't like him at all. I don't find him scary, or what's the word I'm looking for? Because in the other one, it's an older man, but he's just a snob, and he's a snob to everybody. I didn't like that. I didn't like Will Sadler. William Sadler was in this, and they made him just a stupid dope from the beginning. And like in the original, the sheriff wasn't a stupid dope in the beginning, and he was interesting. And you're like, oh. And then all of a sudden at the end, he's just like, whoop, later. He's like, I'm out of here. Vampires, fucking sayonara. And this one, he was a coward and a loser from the beginning. I don't like to work. It's just like, I don't know. There's a lot of things about this film that I did not like. It's been taking me a long time to try to get any of this point across because I've been mumbling and jumbling all over the place. So I said as much as I possibly could, as well as I possibly could. So I'm just going to give it 2 out of 5 stars. If you're interested to see Salem's Lot, I think you should watch the miniseries. Surprisingly, as I said, I like that, even though I thought it was boring for the first part, but I've seen it twice and I like the miniseries better. This film, I try to watch it. I watch it twice and there's nothing happens. For me, I'm just sitting there like this for an hour, and then it gets interesting. I'm like, oh, but it's just doesn't connect, and it's not good. It's just cheap. Feels cheap. Besides the CG, it just feels cheap in general, the entire film. Anyway, that's my review for Salem's Lot 2024. If you like this video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new here and you thought this video was interesting. Leave me a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you thought about this film, and I will talk to you guys next time. Peace.